I have one page left. My notebook.
In your granite
in
paper?
my red stone
Wait,
paper
that's
notebook.
more than one page.
So it's 3 writing pages or 1 leaf. That's the end. Very excited to move on to a new notebook.
This is like when I told you about the terrace.
Yeah. You're like, he talks about notebooks and I want to myself. Yeah. What up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. I'm going to keep this one nice and short because you already know about Off the Record. If you get a ticket for anything, big or small, don't plead guilty. Call Off the Record. They'll set you up with a qualified attorney in the jurisdiction where you got pulled over. They'll fight that ticket for you, and more often than not, they will keep those points off of your record. And if they don't, you don't pay. It's that easy. Go to offtherecord.com/TST or use code TST25 to get 10% off all legal services from Off the Record. Again, that's offtherecord.com/TST or code TST25 on the Off the Record app. All right, on this cruise show, Zach and I recount our trip to a racetrack opening in North Carolina. Plus, I hit the track at the Circuit of the Americas in a McLaren 750. I have a variety of updates on my cheap used Porsche Taycan. A movie made me cry for 90 minutes. And we have some excellent news about the tariffs in this country. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Right. And you, when I walked in today, you were like, do you want to talk about tariffs? And all I can tell you about, because I read the news, a lot of it. I watch whole entire shows, like long form shit on tariffs. But like every single day, it's a new fucking thing. And so this show could age incredibly poorly if we talk about tariffs today on Wednesday, the fucking is it the 16th?
16th.
16th. Dates don't matter to me. But anyway, point being, you seemed like you really wanted to talk about tariffs. So like are you educated about this and that's why you wanted to talk about it? I hope you didn't want to get anything out of me. 'Cause I got a whole list of shit on here. I got like 16 things to talk about because we haven't done a cruise show in 2 fucking weeks.
We can talk about that stuff too.
No, that's fine. But like you were ready to go. How often do I walk in the door and you're like, I'd like to talk about, and it's some big like important international topic?
I mean, never. It was something we had mentioned that we both needed to read up on.
Yeah, listen, I defer to the gentleman from Santa Cruz.
As so many do when it's time to talk about international trade policy.
Your Bronner.
All right. Well, I'll try to keep it concise.
Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Light your joint now.
Yes, light your joint now, or close your shades and put on your tinfoil hat. We're talking about it now because every day there's an announcement that it might change, and that's very annoying. But there's updates as of yesterday, which is April 15th. So this is April 16th. This show goes up tomorrow, the 17th. Hopefully it's current at that point. Do I have double laptops right now?
I think it'll be current for like at least 6 hours. Like,
yeah.
Be current for the Patreon. It's another reason to drive the Patreon because it's current as of the live recording, which you get as a patron.
That is true.
So the patrons have more accurate news from the Smoking Tire than everybody else, just by that nature.
If you're a Pit Crew patron or above right now, you could be getting current news. Mm-hmm. But tomorrow, who knows? Very true.
All right.
Okay. So as of 4/15, April 15th, there are 25% tariffs on vehicles that are going to be imported here, and tariffs on parts, which includes engines and transmissions. That's bad because even though companies like Ford and actually Honda and a bunch of others assemble a bunch of their cars here, huge percentages in some cases, a lot of their parts get shipped over from other places, Mexico, Canada, etc. So that will still raise the cost of those cars.
It's almost like there's a global supplier pipeline that has been built up over decades.
Yes.
It's almost like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
And some of the big stories were like luxury brands. You know, Audi, Volkswagen are halting their shipments. JLR is halting shipments. All right, some people out there might go, who cares about people's Land Rovers, Range Rovers? It's
great air cover for low sales.
It is good cover for that, although Hyundai had their second best month ever last March in the company's history. They sold more cars last month than ever before.
Yeah. How about JLR?
Yeah, probably not great. Lotus also has halted sales and shipments.
Jaguar halted before the tariffs. Jaguar halted like there was no tariffs, and Jaguar was like gonna sit out. Like,
imagine how
25.
long Doug would have had to wait for a door if the tariffs had happened. It took him a year to find a door anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So Cox Automotive Research, who also owns like Kelley Blue Book and stuff, they said that these tariffs will affect 80% of all vehicles under $30,000. So this is not just rich people cars. Obviously, it's like Civics, Corollas, some of which are made here. Honda CR-V. A lot of those cars are made here or are from domestic brands, but they're made again. Global supply chain, made in other places, shipped in. Like this is going to affect
any
everyone.
tax, it affects the people who can least afford to pay an increase. Right?
It will affect everyone. But it'll hurt them the
if a
most.
fucking Maybach gets 25% more, dude, how much more expensive did the GT3 get from 2024 to 2025 before the tariffs?
Right.
Is that stopping anybody from wanting a GT3? Absolutely not.
Well, Ferrari is going to eat the 10% increase cost, but only on 3 models. The 296, the SF90, and the Roma. They're like, we're going to eat that cost.
Not on the Purosangue.
Up till May 1. But Purosangue, the F80, and the other one, they're like, this price will be increased.
Right. Well, they'll find other ways.
I mean, Ferrari, but that's the thing is Ferrari owners, if you want a Purosangue and it goes up 10%, which is a big chunk of money, like you're probably okay with that. But if you are buying a Corolla and it goes from 27 to 30 or whatever, like that really hurts.
That's why, the people that want to get rid of income tax and replace it with any type of sales tax or tariff, that would disproportionately affect the people. If everyone has to pay the same amount of sales tax,
right,
that disproportionately affects people who can pay less.
Right.
But well, that's all fucked. Great.
I mean, what's interesting is in all my reading I read like responses from almost every company, and they're all a little different, which is interesting to see. Like Ford announced a marketing campaign called "Made in America for America." So they're keeping their pricing. They're actually giving everyone employee pricing for a few months. They're giving, and Dodge followed suit. But other people like Honda makes 65% of the cars that are sold here are built here. Mm-hmm. And they were not nearly as enthusiastic about this. Like they had a very measured response of we understand why, we're going to try to move more production here, but understand that we've built this supply chain over 40 years, and to change this in this quick manner is upsetting. Yeah. Paraphrasing.
It's also like there's also they tout these like real big wins about like NVIDIA building a data center, some supercomputers, AI data center in America. That's like you're talking about like a 5-year-long project that there's like all kinds of ways for them to walk that back once the effect of the suck up wears off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can you kiss the fucking emperor's ring, you get your headline, you get your public suck up, and if it doesn't happen later, it's like there's no follow up to that.
And that's the most confusing thing about this on the auto industry is if you build cars here already like Honda does, they can just say, all right, we're going to have or GMC is a good example. GMC and Chevy are just going to build more small trucks. They're increasing the production of small trucks, but their full-size trucks are built outside the country. So they're just, I guess, hoping people decide that smaller trucks are better finally, which is a good idea.
Where's GMC's full-size trucks built? Canada. Probably
a lot
Canada.
in Canada and Mexico. So for a company to try to move a plant here
how do truck people feel about a Mexican-built truck?
I don't think they know about it.
Yeah.
Most of them.
That'd be weird.
I mean, look, cars are built all over the fucking place and shipped back and forth.
I've had cars built that was built in some weird-ass place.
You know where the M2 is built? Mexico. So
I think my Mach-E was built in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
my Ford has a big
my
plant
Focus
on it.
RS was built in Germany, but other Focuses are built in Mexico.
Is the ST built in
I think the ST is Mexico.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars coming from Mexico and Canada. Let's not even include stuff across the Atlantic or Pacific.
Yeah.
And those are technically imported, whether they come across by truck or by boat.
And for the record, I don't give a shit where my car is built as long as it's good.
Right. I totally agree.
Truck people seem to care about those types of things for reasons that are a little more obvious in proportion.
So 2 interesting things. Volvo has announced they are removing the S90 from the lineup after this year because it's built in China. And as of right now, the tariff is 125%.
Yeah. Aren't all Polestars made in China?
Yeah, at the Geely plant.
That's going to be fun for them.
I mean, imagine doubling the cost of your Volvo sedan.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's too bad for the S90, though, but not the V90. The V90, I believe, is built in Sweden.
Ooh, okay.
A person who I know made an extremely huge deal about that in their review.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And the differences in the quality between the two.
I mean, that would be an interesting side-by-side, S90 and V90.
Yeah.
And see if they're assembled differently or feel different. I don't know.
According to this person, there's differences, but let's just say this person is not always the least biased in things of this nature when comparing nationalities.
Oh boy.
I
can't wait to ask who this is after we stop recording. Wow.
I'm just saying. Take your guesses in the comments.
Welcome to Stephen Miller's YouTube channel.
Do not take your guesses in the comments. It's not someone of consequence.
And then the last little thing is that, according to Reuters, 40 to 80% of U.S.-made cars use imported parts, and those parts add up to 20 to 40% of your MSRP.
Yeah, sure.
Like, it's not just where your steel is printed or whatever, the assembly.
Yeah.
So even if the car is, quote, made here, it could still go up by 25, 30% because a bunch of the parts come from somewhere else.
If one were to try to make some sort of a good faith argument about this, of which there are very few, you could say that they're trying to bring in more supplier business. Like, they have final assembly here and design and engineering here, but the suppliers are all somewhere else. So I don't know. I feel like their idea of like jobs is like people putting parts together, not like good, real like good brain power type jobs.
Wait, what? Where?
I feel like the stated goal of these tariffs, which I don't even really like. I mean, I don't think it'll achieve that goal either. But just on the surface, the type of jobs that they're saying need to come back are like these like factory jobs,
great point.
Opposed to what I maybe callously referred to as brain power jobs.
You're not wrong though. There was a statistic I heard this morning where there's actually there's like 7 million manufacturing jobs currently open right now.
Yeah.
And when they've done polls in the last couple of weeks and they've asked people, do you think manufacturing should come back to the United States? 80% say yes. And then they ask them, do you want to work in those manufacturing? And they say, and only 20% say yes.
Yeah, I do. I want other people to work in factory jobs. That is exactly the same of, do you want there to be more housing? Yes. Do you want it to be near where you live? No. It's the same fucking shit.
It's wild.
Over and over. Ugh.
And obviously, like, it depends on the pay and all these other things. But like, people just when people answered the question, the percentage that said I don't want to work in a factory is 80% of people polled.
Who will work in it? Immigrants will, but we're going to get rid of them. So bye.
I mean, as with everything, like it's a very complicated system that has become incredibly complicated over many, many decades. And this quick change, like, imagine if you're an automaker. And let's say you start making a factory today because these tariffs are crazy. All right. Well, when his term ends, assuming he leaves office, if the new president comes in and goes, hey, we're going to go back to the old way without the tariffs, did you just start building a factory that now you have to abandon? Like, that's a huge amount of money sunk into it. So everyone is just like waiting by the phone, hoping that this gets changed tomorrow.
Yeah, my assumption would be to try to run a predictive model of what a person might do if they wanted to run repeated pump and dump scams on the entire U.S. economy and act that way. You're not going to be too far off, just based on what's happened so far. We had the Trump coin pump and dump Some insiders made some enormous money. And then we have the tariff pump and dump. And 7 people made like $20 billion and everybody else lost. Just act like, and everyone who made money seems to be really tight friends with Trump, who is actually able to control the economy and has been given immunity from crime.
Yeah.
And if he didn't have that, he would almost certainly be in prison, or at least prohibited from running for office ever again if they got to that before he would. So, what would you do? Just act as if this person is going to be running scams for his and his friends' personal gain.
Right. But the problem is, if you try to be proactive on that in some way, you might be wrong because things could change tomorrow. I think he noticed how big a problem this was going to have, or he probably got 8,000 phone calls from auto lobbyists. So that's why he announced we might actually change these terms to give them more time. But
he said people were getting the yips. Was the
he said that with the market last week, and then yesterday he said that the auto industry moves a little slower and needs a little more time to adjust. No shit, but so that's the market minute.
He's really learning. He's learning new facts at 78.
Hey, you know what? That's impressive. A lot of people.
It's not like there's an auto industry guy he could ask.
Right? Yeah, you could ask the UAW.
Hey, look, I said something. I gave Elon Musk credit for something. He could probably tell Donald Trump how long it takes to pivot a car factory. He probably has that information. He could give a real, honest for once answer about a question. Hey, how long does it take to pivot a car factory? 10 fucking years, Mr. President.
Right. Yeah. Are they still building? Is it the Gigafactory going up in Texas?
I believe so.
Tesla one? Okay.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah. I'm sure the audience loves this. Can we move on?
Sure.
Do you have more?
No.
I'm angry now. Guys, we got to take a quick break from the show because we are supported today by Cremo. Listen, I have been going to the gym before work, and the exercise is great, but managing the sweat and potential odors, it's a challenge. So I am super stoked to have found Cremo. They have the greatest deodorant. You deserve freedom from smelling bad, and Cremo's deodorant is so delicious. It is designed for a 48-hour odor protection. Now, I don't really recommend 48 hours of not showering, but if you have to, you want to have that Cremo. Everything they make is barber grade and made with pride, professionalism, and passion to guarantee you quality without compromise. But what it's really about is the signature scents, and they sent me the 2 newest ones. There's the Italian Bergamot. It's bright and fresh. And then there's the Palo Santo, which is deep, smoky, and refined, which is the one that I have been using for the last few days. Man, the Palo Santo is nice. It's smooth. It doesn't leave any residue or whiteness. And I can kind of enjoy a hint of that scent throughout the day. It is, man, they call it multi-layered scent technology. Honestly, it just smells really good. It's a quality, professional-grade product, and I like it. I like applying it, and I like smelling it throughout the day, and it does what it's supposed to do. Covers up the bad things and leaves good ones. You don't have to deal with colognes or anything like that. It's just a hint. You can head over to Target or Target.com to find Cremo's new line of deodorants and antiperspirants in the Italian Bergamot and Palo Santo scents. You, again, can get them at Target or Target.com. And thanks to Cremo for sponsoring today's show. Folks, today's show is also supported by Rula. Rula is a new telehealth mental health service, right? And I have been seeing a therapist, the same therapist actually, for about 16 years. But I've had friends and my wife who have had to find new therapists. And that process on its own can be incredibly stressful, time-consuming, deflating, and discouraging, right? So Rula is here. Right? It's a telehealth service. And for the record, I have seen the same therapist for this long, but I see them over FaceTime. So it's fundamentally telehealth anyway, even though it's just with the same person. And telehealth is solved a lot of things. It's made mental health care more convenient and accessible for millions of people who may not live in urban hubs where lots of services are available. You could be anywhere. However, critical challenges such as finding the right therapist and scheduling appointments, not to mention the cost, still keep a lot of people from getting the care they need. I know it is expensive and scheduling is hard. This type of service is great. Rula is on a mission to make high-quality mental health care from a licensed professional easy, affordable, and flexible for everyone. They take most major insurance plans. The average copay is only $15 a session, and you can now get the quality care you need when you need it from anywhere at a price you can afford. But Rula is not just affordable. They stick with you throughout the journey, making sure you get the best therapy and that you're making progress. Each provider is carefully vetted and chosen for their experience, so you'll always know you're in the hands of a quality provider. Of course, as normal, Rula starts by asking you a few questions about what's important to you, and then provides a list of providers who match your preferences, and you can schedule your preferred time, meet with them as soon as the next day. So try it right now. Just see how it goes. What could be the worst thing? And if you've ever thought about going to therapy, but you don't know how to start, like how to even find a therapist, this is a great way to dip your toe in the water and just see if the benefits of talk therapy can work for you this way for less money and more convenience. So you can go to Rula.com, that's RULA.com/tire, RULA.com/tire for convenient therapy that's covered by insurance. And thank you to Rula for sponsoring today's episode.
That's it.
I have some like fun things to talk about on my list, and now I'm angry. I got fucking rims today, and I'm angry. Who can be angry on a day you get rims?
You can provide the dessert after the dinner.
Jesus Christ. Fucking rage.
Go ahead. We can talk about your list now.
Well, my list includes things we've done together. we went to the opening of a new racetrack.
We haven't talked about that yet? Oh, my God. That's been so long.
Weeks.
Holy shit.
Yeah. We went to the opening of a brand new racetrack, and it was a fucking good time. You're going to have to scroll back far as fuck. Probably not.
No,
not really.
There we go.
It's one row, because I've really not been posting on Instagram, because it's better to not do that. But 10/10ths Motor Club in Charlotte, right next to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Invited out by the owners, the founders, the Smith family. Beautiful flowing roller coaster of a racetrack.
Good elevation.
Yeah. Reminds me a little bit of Bilsterberg in Germany, where we did a little testing back in the day. Really beautiful tarmac. And there was a concourse, there was parties, there was a Trans Am race. It was a good time.
Dude, those Trans Am cars. God, if I could race anything, I think that would be it.
I think you probably could.
Maybe. I don't know who out there.
We watched that race. Some of those people there was 12, 15 cars in the race. 4 or 5 of them knew what they were really, really doing, and everyone else was like dentists. Which is how vintage racing is.
Yes.
All vintage racing.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Trans Am. It was still awesome to watch and hear, but like you saw.
We saw some interesting hand positions as they went by. There were some samurai swords. That was
weird.
The
photo that I have of the 2 cars from the track, elevated of the Mustangs. Yeah. So from this vantage point, this is like the lawn. It's this beautiful landscaped deck off the back of the clubhouse, and you have this fabulous view of a sweeping turn 1 at the track, and you can really see drivers' hand and feet positions from here as they are sort of downshifting and steering into turn 1. And some people did the old put your knuckles to get like hands together, like create one long cylinder with your hands that's touching while steering into this corner, and I was like, yowza. Other people were like really
hauling ass.
Other people were really hauling ass.
And I mean, everyone was having a really good time.
In fact, these 2 particular, I think these were at one point the 65 Mustang, notchback, and then what looks like maybe a 70 Boss 302.
Yeah.
They were in the lead, fighting for the lead at one point, which is why I took this photo.
They were awesome. They have so much lean and squish on the sidewall that my wife was like, "Are they drifting these corners?" I'm like, no, that's just lean.
Yeah,
just
there's a little bit of oversteer, but
I think there was. But when she was asking, it was this corner, and it was just lean. Just a lot of movement.
Yeah, Big corrections. Cool. And Zach and I got to run a few laps in a brand new roof SCR.
Because Mr. Smith is like the nicest, most trusting person in the world.
Had
What?
133 miles on it. And actually, what a sidebar treat. I don't know if you were standing there when it happened, but right before we went on the track, the state, some type of law enforcement agent came to do the VIN verification for a North Carolina registration on it, and fully approved and stamped the form. So we literally watched it be allowed to be registered on the road in North Carolina, which is very, very cool for a very low volume car like this. So that's rad.
It was very rad. The way that this is just a stunning car. I know we've been around them already, but man, every time, it just feels so special. It looks so well put together.
This one was a little different. This is the SCR, not the CTR. So the CTR is the twin turbo, up to 750 horsepower, depending on the knob.
Still carbon tub here, though.
Yeah. No, everything's the same, except this one is naturally aspirated. So it's a 4-liter, 515 horsepower, but it's not Porsche's 4-liter, 515 horsepower. It's not the GT3 engine or any variant of it. It's a Metzger engine to go back to the 996 and 997 turbo and GT3. Metzger engine, but punched out to 4 liters with roof, everything else. So it's a roof engine based on Porsche architecture from 20 years ago, but the engine that's known for being the strongest engine they ever made.
Yeah. And this engine was a honeypot. It was amazing. It revved so well. It sounded incredible. I mean, downshifting, the flywheel super light. Everything. I got 3 corners away from it. And, no offense, Alois, I mean, you saw both of them. I was like, oh, I'd get the NA immediately. And the one we drove in Miami was so fast and fun, but this was fast enough. The car's light.
Of course. It's 2,500, 2,600 pounds and 500 horsepower. Who is that not enough for? That's a fast car. And, of course, all the controls are very light because the car is very light. And it doesn't need very wide tires either. It's got relatively narrow tires. And, this is a brand new car, so I was only willing – and on track we had never driven.
Yep.
So we have a little video. It's pretty low rent because we just had a very limited amount of time to get a little taste, but we wanted to share it with you guys. So the video is pretty rough. Also, we didn't the car had just shown up, and we didn't prep it or anything. We just got in it and went on the track. And as it turns out, the tires were overinflated by quite a bit.
Felt significant.
Yeah, the rears were overinflated really by quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure how that happened. But it made the car quite tail happy in a way that it probably wasn't designed to be.
Well, we drove the other car, which I think was less tail happy than this one, and that car was on all seasons. Yeah. And it was 100 degrees out in July. Those things should have been slick at jam, and they were.
Yeah, and you could make that slide, but you'd have to tell it to.
You have to tell you.
This one wanted to do it on its own, which I don't think is how it was probably designed.
Based on the other roof cars we've driven, I do not think it was intentional.
But no, they said the tires were high.
They did?
Yeah,
They checked? Okay.
They were. But we don't know that in the video.
Yeah,
so
that's very true. Very true. I was like, oh my God, am I about to, have to give away all my kidneys in this moment? Because it was a surprise.
Yeah, it's more just $1 million plus brand new car. Don't fuck this one up. But the track itself was a really good time. And actually on this track in particular, which it doesn't it only has one very long straight. It's 1.9 miles. In these club tracks, even the very high quality ones, 700, 800 horsepower makes absolutely no sense. That's a Road America horsepower. That's not club track horsepower. Mm-hmm. Club track horsepower, 500 is the upper limit of what you need for anything there. There's just not a long enough straightaway to make any kind of a real difference. Yeah. But the cars are so nicely made.
Really, 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 really good. Every time I sit in one, I'm like, how do I make this happen?
Yeah, that was a nice thing. So thank you to the Smith family for inviting us out. And if you're in Charlotte and you are like, man, we should have an awesome road course in this city, you do now. This one is real cool, and it's right next to Charlotte Motor Speedway. That Cobra with the... I don't like luggage racks on sports cars. It's well documented, but if you're talking about a period car and it's got the luggage on it, and it seemed like that person actually drove that car from somewhere, then I can kind of get as an aesthetic.
Okay. I mean, that's impressive.
It's not for me, but like I kind of get what you're going for there.
I mean, I gotta say that the Cobra has a pretty big trunk, especially if the inside of your rear fenders are still open, like they are on my family's kit car. Yeah. You can hit like a whole carry-on in there.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
they had some strong stuff there.
Maybe people put a full-size spare or something back there if they're on a road trip.
Or a fuel tank, maybe, something like that.
Yeah. And then I saw a Hemi Cuda towing what looked like a big block,
like
speedboat.
Drag boat thing.
Yeah, big block jet boat. That's a good time. Charlotte was fun. I went to that. I then went to Texas. Folks, one more break because support for today's show comes from HelloFresh. I love HelloFresh for so many reasons. One, I learn to make new things that I might not have made otherwise without having to commit to buying big jars of spices and materials that are going to end up going to waste, right? Because I love cooking, right? HelloFresh is good if you love cooking or even if you like cooking or want to eat fresh meals, but you don't have a lot of time for shopping and you don't want to get into the unknowns with how long is this dinner going to take, right? HelloFresh is great because you don't have to figure out what's for dinner night after night anymore, especially on those busy weekdays. All you have to do is you set it up online before, they deliver you that fresh food, never frozen, really good vegetables in exactly the right proportions, okay? And then you just throw it all together. You cook it. Almost every meal they have can be cooked in 30 to 40 minutes from nothing. You're feeding your family. The cleanup is easy and quick, and you don't have as much waste because they send you exactly as much food as you need for those the number of people you select. And HelloFresh now has some new stuff. They've got ready-made meals. Go from your fridge to the fork in just 3 minutes. The same high-quality ingredients and restaurant-worthy flavor, just with zero of the work. Think lunch, people. And they've got the lineup of prep and bake meals come together with minimal mess and only 5 minutes of prep, so your oven does most of the work, not you. Then there's the 15-minute meals, done in just 3 simple steps so you can eat better this year without all the hassle. With all these options, you have no more excuses. And what happens is when I cook HelloFresh food, they have this beautiful recipe card they send you with easy instructions. I save that, and then if I'm having a party or something, it's a good recipe. I can multiply it and make it again from scratch, and then I seem like a genius for coming up with a new dish. Just don't even tell them it's HelloFresh. It's great. Now you can get up to 10 free meals and a free high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com / and I'm sorry for this one, Smoking Tire 10FM. Again, I'm sorry for that code. That is a hard code. Ready? 1 box per item with active subscription. Okay? Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals at HelloFresh.com / Smoking Tire 10FM. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit, and thank you to them for sponsoring today's program. For a road and track event, it was fun. These road and track events are great fun. We had a really good time. We had great weather. The food was excellent. The wines. The wines were interesting. We were in Fredericksburg, Texas, hill country outside of Austin, and they're trying to make by they I mean the state of Texas and everyone involved in this is really trying to make this Fredericksburg wine country a thing. They don't really grow a lot of grapes there. And there are some places that do make wine, but they import grapes from other places.
Sure.
And there's a lot of places that call themselves wineries, but they're really just tasting rooms that are serving other people's wine.
That is always a trick. When you pull up in the buildings too small, and you're like, where's your land?
Yeah, too small or huge. We're in Texas, so it's not too small. It's huge. And they're now, it's the Danish or the Scandinavian barn. Everyone's doing the Scandinavian barn now with the black wood and the glass ends. But not surrounded by grapes. And so, we tasted a couple good wines, none of which were from the area. It was fun. It was fun in its weirdness. That part was fun. The important bit is the photo that you have up on the screen right now, which is that I got to run about, I don't know, 50 laps of Coda in a McLaren 750.
Wow.
Which is, you talk
That's a
about
lot.
Talk about glorious. This was I drove 2.5 tanks of gas.
How are the tires when you're done?
Fine.
Wow.
The best, that's the best thing about one of these. It uses that's not the best thing about one of these. A good thing about one of these is that it uses regular tires. It's not some R Cup Trofeo super sticky blah blah blah. No, it's like a regular ass P0. So I was driving it with the traction control off and just because this was the first time I ever driven Coda. And so I had to figure out where I was going. But once I did, this car is so good that you can really, assuming you're comfortable, driving fast, period. It's so responsive that you can intentionally overdrive it the whole way around the track and fight with it like you're driving a fucking Can-Am car in 1972, but it won't murder you. It was the greatest.
Wow.
Slide every single hairpin because you just can. Easy. Easy.
Yeah.
Third gear slides. At one point I did one, and I had a track radio to talk to the flaggers. I like to really be super by the book. When they're when someone decides that they're going to let me pretty much do whatever I want on the track, I respond in kind by being extremely by the book in my communications. So I have a track radio. I'm going on. I'm coming off. I'm here. I found this thing. Whatever. It's generally appreciated, and it's oh, okay, this guy is going to do what he's going to do, but he's not going to be unsafe. So cool. At one point over the radio, it was nice one.
Nice, that's rad. Did you use did it have the drift, whatever it's called, the drift controllery thing?
It did, and that does work. But after lap 20, I was I don't need you anymore. Yeah. Goodbye. It's just so easy to make it do what you want and listen to what it's doing.
Yeah, I agree.
There's just and it's 176 on the back straight I saw. Once with a passenger.
Whoa.
And when you hit the air brake at that speed, it just squats and just stays nice and straight. And actually, it's pretty cool if you trail brake it properly in a medium speed corner. And if you don't know what that is, normally at a racing school, if you're just starting, they tell you to brake in a straight line and then turn in, right? Trail braking is braking later, but continuing braking all the way down to the apex of the corner, right? And depending on the corner, maybe even occasionally past it.
Yeah.
But
and your brake pressure is getting lighter and lighter as you enter that corner.
Correct. Yeah. And if you time it right, there's a point at which that release of brake pressure, almost like a clutch engaging, can be used to make the car oversteer by holding it a little later and keeping the weight further forward. And so with the air brake goes up, but it also, you can kind of, when you're trail braking, control when it goes back down. So that actually gives a quick lift of the rear.
Sure.
Cool. That helps you initiate that, which is all kinds of fun once you figure out how to do that shit. And Tanner was there. He was our hotshot pro. So he was giving thrill rides in Polestar 3s, which, let's just say, as lovely a car as it is, required multiple Polestar 3s. Although it held the battery, the performance and the degradation held up better than I thought. And it has a really trick rear diff that you have to adjust your driving for it a little bit because it understeers when you turn in. So you have to brake in a straight line, turn in really slow, and as soon as you turn in, smash the gas, and then it goes whoop, and the rear lifts and oversteers. It's funky as hell, but it does work.
Weird. Okay.
So that was fun. So he was doing that, but he wanted to try the McLaren also. So he took me for a thrill ride.
Hell yeah.
And so that was after I did, I don't know, 4 laps maybe. And so then I was like, oh, here's where I can go flat there. Oh shit. Oh, I cut here. Okay. And then it was on.
Then it got even faster.
Then I had a fucking line and it was on. Tanner's a very good teacher.
Yeah.
He's fast and fucking anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to interview him for the How to Jump a Car article, and like, he was just. It's like he was teaching me, but also just, I could see how dangerous it is in his face. When just explaining, I went, "This is very serious."
Yeah, it was a very fun event, and Texas Hill Country is a fun place to drive. It's a very different type of driving, a lot of it. And I did 1,200 miles in a track day in the 750 Spider.
It's a great work week,
dude. I got 23. I think I put 23. I forget if it was 23 or 26. 24. Sorry, 24 miles per gallon. At probably like 80 on the highway, and then I got 1.3 miles per gallon on the track.
Wow.
Yeah.
New record, I think.
Yeah.
That's worse than the Ford GT that when Clarkson tested it.
Yeah, yeah.
4.
It was really bad. Coda's really fast, and you can use so much full throttle there.
How's the surface of Coda? Bumpy? Good?
I thought it was fine.
Okay.
I do not have. There was a couple little bumps, but like the McLaren honestly rides so well that, and I don't even put it in track handling. I put it in sport. I like a little more body roll.
Same. It's probably a thing they talk about with F1 because they're F1 cars.
F1 is so different,
Yeah.
dude. This thing rides like a fucking rolls.
Yeah.
It's the best.
It's a good car.
I would, and the homie Tony A. I took him for a ride. He was there. He was shopping within 3 hours.
Wow.
I am a dangerous friend. Dude, he got out of the car. He's like, "What are these going for?" He was looking.
Whatever it is, it's worth it.
He was looking right away. It was great. My scheme for FedExing luggage worked out perfectly fine. That was good. That thing, man. And oh shit! So on the flight there from Charlotte, I watched the movie Flow. It's the animated movie about a cat that won the Oscar for Best Animated Movie this year. It was like a huge upset because they made it for no money and they lost to like Pixar, or they beat Pixar. Excuse me.
Wow. Okay.
No dialogue. 90 minutes. I shit you not.
Like Wall-E, no dialogue, or.
It's a movie about a cat that interacts with other animals, so there is no dialogue.
To pretend that we haven't made those movies before with dialogue is insane.
No, that's true, but it's not. It's a realistic, mostly realistic depiction. They're not anamorphic. They're the real animals.
Okay.
Yeah, unbelievably beautiful movie, and I shit you not, I cried for almost the entire, almost every minute of it. Wow. Almost from the opening frame.
Really?
Yeah. From probably 2 or 3 minutes in the movie until the end and then some.
Is it sad right away, like Up?
I don't think it's sad. I mean, yes, it is. It's sad right away. No main characters die.
Okay. But hundreds of secondary characters.
But there's a Holocaust in the background. No main characters die. And not a huge amount of other things.
Flo's the cat at a kill shelter.
Yeah. No. A flood floods a cat's home. If I was an actor, I could make myself cry right now thinking about that movie.
Wow.
I've been able to do it like 3 times since. It's incredibly moving, but because I speak cat and it's done so well, and the idea of a scared cat, affects me so much. Just fucking destroyed me. It is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen.
All right,
I really do recommend it. But just maybe you won't be affected by it the way I was, but prepare yourself because
it's good to know.
Yeah,
because Sarah's even more empathetic to animals than I am.
Yeah.
And if I spring this on her, it might make her cry.
Just tell her before you watch it that nobody died. That
is important.
Yeah. But it's still the director of that movie or producer, the person largely responsible, whatever their role was, must have a incredibly deep empathy for not just animals but people, and because the ability to capture that amount of emotion in eyes and expressions and stuff and without dialogue is very extraordinary. Really, really beautiful thing. Anyway, so that's my movie recommendation. Book recommendations for the month. On a clear day, you can see General Motors by John DeLorean. Finish that. Awesome. That's a good one. It's John DeLorean's like expose of his later years at GM and like what a fucking shit show the company was. That one was very fun. And so Taycan update. There's two updates. Update number one is I had a major software update at the dealer to hopefully address the ADAS that was fucking up.
Yeah.
And they did the newest update, but they said they couldn't replicate the ADAS issue, which is incredibly frustrating. And in the software update, I have said that this would happen, and it happened. I've said the software Lord giveth and the software Lord taketh away. Mm-hmm. The software Lord tooketh away. I can no longer do side-by-side GPSs. If I pull up the route planner on the one screen and then try to pull up Waze on the other screen, it terminates the route guidance on the original screen.
Because it goes,
and
it does, using this.
And it does it the other way, too.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. This passenger screen just goes back to a fucking totally wasted space.
And they couldn't
now.
replicate the thing that you had a problem with anyway.
Yeah.
So you might have lost both.
Well, I probably would have got the software update eventually.
Yeah.
But like, dude, the software Lord fucking tooketh away.
It didn't giveth anything. It
Nothing.
just tooketh.
Nothing.
Tookeths.
While it was there, though,
sucks.
the driver, you know, the Taycan has frameless doors. Mm-hmm. So the window cracks a little bit every time you open the door.
Right.
And so it was a little squeaky. When it goes down, it would squeak. And I was like, oh, look at that, guys. And so they replaced the weather stripping. So now it has new weather stripping.
No
It doesn't squeak.
Nice.
No cost to me. But there was something I had to pay for. The brake service, which is a fluid flush, a pad inspection, the hydraulic brakes, fluid flush, pad inspection. That was like a new fluid. That was like $125. And then I got a new cabin filter, which they did one right before I bought the car in October. Fires. The fires were like the first week we had the car.
Right.
And we never drove the car like super close to where the fires were. Like it wasn't here for those first really bad days where like it was raining ash. It wasn't even here for that. Mm-hmm. But like the cabin filter was fucked.
There's just stuff in the air.
Yeah.
Even if you can't see it, it was really bad.
So yeah, new cabin filter. That was like $250. So those were things I had to pay for. But today, I got my rims.
They're wheels, dude. They look awesome.
And we're not posting pictures yet because the car's not done. You didn't post a picture of it, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you didn't, right? No. Okay, because it's not done. The car's going.
You want the fenders.
This afternoon, it's going to get the rest of it done.
Wow,
like, I'm actually super stoked that I only have to drive it for half a day, half done. I like it done.
Yeah.
Like, go away and come back done.
Right, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So we have the wheels, and they look unbelievable.
Looks good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It elevates your car from the shape of that car is great, but like just white with the wheels it had, it's very much like, commuter base appliance kind of thing. But now it's like, there's intention. Like this color was chosen, these wheels were chosen, this person knows what they're doing, you know?
He didn't buy white because it was there.
Exactly. Because white is a fleet color for so many things. So it's easy for it to seem unintentional to the layperson.
Well, and when we do the fenders and the clear corners, it will be even more so. It'll be really, really nice. But it looks great now.
Yeah.
Especially outside right now, it's at driving height. I didn't lower it. But if you put it at park height, it looks real good.
Did you post that rendering video that I sent?
I don't know. No, but I haven't posted any other content yet either, so I'll do it back to back with the finished product. Okay. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, because the rendering was HRE's rendering person was exceptional. Gabriel, I think.
Yeah. And it looks exactly like the rendering, which is awesome. I was just so excited, but of course, when modifying an electric car, even with wheels, it is very important to not like fuck up how the car drives or the range. So I made sure that we did a OEM size. Mm-hmm. So It's the same size wheel and size tire as you'd get in a Taycan Cross Turismo Turbo, right? And I know that because I got it off my customers. And the same tire that you could get. It's actually not an EV specific tire. It's a high load performance tire. Basically, it's a PS4S for high performance car for heavy cars.
Okay.
Excuse me. So it's the kind of tire you would get on a Panamera or on a Mercedes AMG, like an E50, E63 maybe would be that tire. So on the way down, I started with a full charge this morning, and I drove down and back, and I did the exact same thing both ways. Just got on the highway and hit the radar cruise at 74. That's my number, and I just cruised. So it took me 46%. To get to HRE. Mm-hmm. I got there with 54%. So when I left to come back, that was on the old wheels, the stock wheels with the Falcon EV all-season tire. So on the way back, I started with 54%. It took me 50% to get home. Now, I also, out of fear of not making it. Now the thing is, it's not apples to apples exactly, because you do drive a little different when you know you're going to get somewhere with 3%. Like you start to adjust.
Yeah, you stop passing
people.
Like
I wasn't going to like fly the plane into the mountain. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to see if it was more or less efficient, but I didn't want to run the car dry in order to find out.
Well, on the drive down, did you just set it at 74 and cruise, or did you make some moves? And
it was early in the morning. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, right.
So I got on the highway and I set it at 74, and I don't think I had to dip below 65 ever for anything.
All right.
The whole way. So this time, a little different. There was a little more traffic, so I couldn't go as fast the whole time. The average speeds were lower. But also I was a little more conscious because it was like you're going to get home with like 7% or whatever. Right. And you start to see numbers like that, and you can't help yourself. But, yeah, you don't make that pass. You don't do certain things. So having said that, I got home. It took 50% to get home. So it took 4% extra, and it left me with 4% on the charge when I got here, which was a little stressful, but not too stressful. Interestingly, I went from a 20 to a 21. The HREs, which are a 522 is the model number, are a 21. And they were worried. I was like, hey, I want to put them on a scale. I want to put and I said not just the wheel, because it's not about weighing. It was about, with my car, it's the wheel and the tire together. So the wheel and tire together in the front, my new wheels are minus 4 pounds a corner, which is fabulous. My rears are minus 5 pounds a corner to the HREs with the Michelin tires. So
that's
I don't know.
A lot.
I don't know how much credit goes to each thing, but that the total is what I care about, and it's substantially lower.
Dude, that's great.
That's a bunch, right? Yeah. But my tires, quite a bit stickier. So,
right.
So the handling will be better.
Unsprung versus rolling resistance.
Right.
That's a fun math problem.
So interestingly, I think the lower rotational inertia and the lower unsprung weight will mean that potentially I could have improved efficiency in performance in the city, where I'm starting and stopping and starting and stopping. It'll take less energy to do that. Mm-hmm. Once you're already rolling, the stickier rubber is more of a hindrance than the weight of the wheel.
Plus, to keep you moving requires more energy because you have essentially a lighter flywheel, let's call it. You have 4 lighter flywheels.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I think 4% is a fine price to pay for how good the car looks.
For looking fly as fuck?
And does it ride better and quieter because the tires are a little softer? Or no?
I would say it does not. I would say on big bumps it's the same, and I would say on harsh edges, on concrete, it's slightly worse ride, but not in a way that bothers me. And I would say the steering is also slightly heavier than it was, but also not in a way that bothers me.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's a price to pay for looking extremely fly in this car.
Yeah.
And if you weren't like super in tune with the car, you'd probably say you couldn't tell the difference, honestly. Not that I'm like a somebody, but like it's a very.
Oh,
it's
with
a,
the steering, I think
in terms
the way
of
it looks.
No.
Yeah.
The steering and the ride. I mean, it's a fine difference.
Sure.
It's a fine difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Cool.
pretty fucking sick. Can't wait for it to be done. It's going to be the only Taycan, from what I gather, unless there's a last minute sign up at Air Water on April 26th. So that's fun.
It's a sick daily.
Yeah.
It's a sick daily.
Yeah. And I learned a lot more about wheels while I was down there today. It took them a little while to swap them over and take because they had to take the TPMS sensors out of the old ones and put them in the new ones for all that. So it was like a 2-hour process. So Alan was showing me around like all their new machinery and all the cool stuff. So these wheels, pull up a picture of the wheel. This is really cool. I didn't know they were doing this. They have something called FMR now. So this wheel, it looks like almost like a 3-piece wheel, but it's a 2-piece wheel. They now have this, instead of when they were doing a 3-piece wheel, it was an outer barrel, inner barrel, and then the face was centered, was sandwiched, right? Those barrels were made from sheets of aluminum. This FMR is a forged barrel. So instead of 3 pieces, it's only 2 pieces, right? The face and the barrel, and they move where the mounting point is depending on the fitment. But it's not rolled from sheet, it's a forged, so it's like way stronger.
Whoa.
So people,
That's their new line.
yeah,
right?
the FMRX is their new shit. And so it has the look of a 3-piece, but has the strength of a single piece forged. And it's fucking cool. So for high performance, they don't really do 3-piece anymore. And he said it's weird because like people hear 2-piece and 3-piece and they assume 3-piece is better, so they ask for 3-piece because they just want the best thing.
More pieces is better.
And he has like there's a real like learning curve where I have to sit down and explain to them why these 2-piece wheels will look the same but perform better, but they like don't get it.
I understand people's resistance only because I know people. Like they've spent 30 years going 3-piece is best.
Yeah,
and now you have to tell them it's different.
That's what the forum says, and
this
whatever.
Is like the speakers in the car downstairs where it's only 6, and like we can't sell that. We need 19, then 20.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
I just told him the story about the speakers. It was exactly the same shit. Yeah,
we just want more.
So that's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah,
looks like a 3-piece,
cool.
but it's see that? Yeah, it's nice.
Oh yeah, so it's just one.
It's a forged barrel. Yeah, forged barrel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Strong,
Super cool.
light, awesome.
Shout out to HRE Wheels, making wheels in California like fucking bosses. That's the things. And also, Go ahead.
Speaking of mileage.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. We should talk about that.
Okay.
That's yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a new lawsuit has been filed, I believe by one person, but it could turn into class action. But basically, it accuses Tesla of overestimating the mileage on their cars by as much as 117%. I read about this earlier, and basically what this guy said, like for every mile he drove, it seemed like it was recording 1.7. And also, as it gets closer to the end of your warranty,
it seems
like the calculations go faster. So this person bought this car and said that in the year he owned it, he drove 6,000 miles and it recorded 13,000. Big disparity. Here we go.
Okay, the case was filed by Nairi Hinton, who says they bought a 2020 Tesla Model Y in December 2022 with 36,772 miles on it. Hinton states that from December 14th to February 6th, they averaged 55.5 miles a day, but between March and June, this spiked to 72 miles a day, just as the Model Y was approaching its warranty expiration. The owner estimates that the average mileage should have been roughly 20 miles fewer per day because of their consistent routine during this time. So,
so he bought the Model Y. He drove 6,086 miles. The Tesla recorded 13,228. And correction, it is not class action. It is a single person right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think this, this is a hard one because Tesla has a history of shenanigans, right? But also, you could probably find lots of instances of Tesla cars that don't do this. As Phil Koopman told us, there are basically no regulations on software, although I'm sure there is a I don't even. Do I even want to know if there's a regulation that odometers have to be accurate?
We should look that up because I saw this comment on Instagram and I just Googled it really quickly. So forgive me if this is Google's AI says that Tesla odometers calculate mileage by estimating it using predictive algorithms that consider energy consumption and driving behavior.
No, that means range.
This says odometers calculate mileage.
That's AI though.
True.
AI's trash. That's AI sloppy trash.
Oh, dude, Tesla's.
You can't. There's no algorithm for a car's odometer. Either it's accurate or it's inaccurate.
I agree with you.
My Ferrari's odometer was fucked up.
I mean, yeah, there should be a law that. Let's see. Do odometers?
I feel like there's definitely a law on speedometers, right?
Yes.
A speedometer can read a certain amount high, but it cannot read low.
There is no law regulating odometer accuracy. However, the Federal Odometer Act forbids tampering with vehicle mileage.
So, okay. Wait. I'm not a lawyer. The Federal Vehicle Odometer Act, that sounds like something that prevents rollbacks, that prevents consumers and dealers from rolling back odometers. That does not sound, at least on its surface, like something that prevents an automaker from having a fraudulently trash algorithmic odometer, which would be the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard.
So I typed Tesla odometer into Google to try to find an answer, and I found a thread on Reddit from 2 years ago where someone reported what this gentleman has cited or reported in his lawsuit, saying, "Hey, I'm driving X, and based on what I made a GPS route of my route, and it's this many miles, but Tesla is saying it's further." And a bunch of people are going, "Holy shit, my car is doing that too! Oh crap, I need to pay attention to that. Oh, the same thing happened to me." That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean it, and also now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't been in a Tesla in quite some time. I don't think the odometer is on the screen like all the time. Like it's not like in a regular car, for the most part, the odometer is there all the time. I think in a Tesla, you have to go into a menu to see it. You're not watching it all the time. So if there were going to be, you might be able to configure your Tesla.
That is correct. To display odometer, you have to tap some things.
You have to tap some things, right? So if there was a fucking tweet from there's a Reddit thread called LinkedIn Lunatics. And there was some guy who was, this could be fucking trash, but the metaphor does hold true, which is like, I cut my employees' pay 15%. You know how I did it? I just didn't tell them. I just cut it. He said most people don't notice. He said of my 30 employees, only one person noticed. So he said if people are on direct deposit, they just don't check. And so if you were a company that either buried the odometer for reasons of aesthetics and then realized you could fuck with it because people wouldn't notice. Mm-hmm. Or even worse, you buried it for that so you could do that exact thing. I'm not saying that they did anything, but they have the opportunity to because the odometer is not in the face of the driver all the time.
Right. True. Yeah. That's a great point.
And they have a history of shenanigans.
Right.
They can't be given the benefit of the doubt in shit like this.
Yes.
But I bet you could find a whole bunch of cars that don't do this. It's not every car, right? It couldn't be every car.
From Tesla or from other
I'm sure that if you test, I don't know, 100 random cars, some of them the odometers would be fucking way off, and some would be accurate.
That would be.
Do you think every single Tesla on the road has an odometer that reads high?
I think it depends on if it is a manufacturing or programming flaw or if it's a feature. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a feature, then why would it not be in all of the cars? Because it reduces how many times they have to service a car.
Well, yeah, if you, hypothetically, these are connected cars, right? So you have the ability to like OTA update and change these cars. And you could change anything. Forget, they could change anything they want. So like, just saying, conspiracy theory hat, right? Let's fucking tinfoil hat this bitch. If you had a rough quarter and you wanted to pinch some costs, you could literally make people's cars expire out of warranty faster. Like you could, like that would be the advantage of this, right? That would really be the only advantage of this. Actually, no, it wouldn't. You could make people's leases come up faster too. You could literally like fraudulently make people's leases come up faster. That would be an enormous problem. Okay.
This is the line right below.
Okay, this is right. Oh, you're saying it's right after the thing we stopped reading? The lawsuit is based on a patent that Tesla filed for a seemingly tricky form of recording mileage. This is from a Jalopnik article. The patent calls for a, quote, miles to electrical energy conversion factor that would take in factors like changing behavior and road conditions into the calculation of miles traveled instead of a direct recording of miles traveled. The lawsuit alleges that Tesla is using this technology instead of mechanical or electrical systems that faithfully record miles traveled in order to shorten warranties based on miles driven in the cars.
Why would they... Like, the odometer is such a simple thing that has existed for 100 years. I'm trying to put my head in their head and go, why would you want to make a new thing that would calculate miles for this? Unless this is like a way they worded an estimation of range and Jalopnik and us are misinterpreting it, or the lawsuit's misinterpreting it.
Yeah, the automakers file patents for shit all the time. Like, if you have an idea for anything that hasn't been done before, you patent it, right? This happens like... Ford gets like thrown under the bus a lot for some real like dystopian stuff that they've patented.
Right. The most recently it was cars that would like talk to each other about speed and basically like alert law enforcement when they're speeding or something.
Yeah. I think there was cars that would advertise for you. Huh?
The cars were going to have to use their onboard camera systems to film cars that were doing or speeding.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, but I don't think they should. At this point, look at do we still have to talk about why you shouldn't give Tesla the benefit of the doubt for shit like this? Like, their business is built on shady shit like this, a lot of it. So I don't know. I mean, I look forward to seeing what's.
See what happens in Discovery. Yeah,
a lot of people did send me the story.
Okay.
Their cars don't drive themselves, and they probably never will. That's the most important thing to know. So I saw a headline that I just scrolled right on by that said, it must be the end of the quarter. Is it? It was, I think.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was, yeah. Elon says that the cyber cab will be on the road driverless in September. Like, all right, yeah, cool, man.
I think they said that a few months ago, too.
Yeah.
So maybe he's trying to stick with that timeline.
Yeah.
We will see. Well, on the road, but moving? What did he say?
I don't know.
On the road? Which road?
Yeah.
in like a gated geofenced
area,
area,
like
it was
drop it off a
launch?
flatbed. It is technically, yeah.
Good stuff.
Ask questions for the old podcast. You know how to do it. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast is where you should be headed. You can ask us questions for the show. You can catch the live stream. You can get the show early. You can get the show without ads. You can get extra shows and a whole lot more. Let's fucking go. Buying the government ain't going to fix your daddy issues, says. I feel like I'm in the minority, but I have a hard time justifying getting a daily driver with plans to modifying it when it's used to get you to and from work and to get groceries. I can see getting a fun car if you have only one parking spot, but modding a daily sounds like torture. Am I just old and decrepit at 32? Absolutely not. I am with you. I like a daily and I like a sports car, and you can customize your daily. Mm-hmm. You could do some cosmetic mods. You can do some things to it that'll make it your own without ruining how it drives. That's possible.
Yep.
But yeah, I would no performance mods. I would skip that on the daily.
If you have two cars, keep one special and one totally normal.
Yeah.
And the normal one will feel like a nice vacation from the other, and vice versa.
Yeah. Here's a way, if you don't think you have the self-control, I recommend a lease.
Oh.
I recommend a lease. Sure. Also, I recommend an EV. Nothing says I don't want to modify this like a leased EV. Right?
Yeah, good point.
Leave it alone.
That'd be the biggest waste of money.
Yeah. Purchased an EV. What's the first thing I can do to this? J Cat says, while the grandeur of major auto shows has been permanently damaged by the digital age, how do you think they could make a comeback for both public and press, or is it even possible to save them?
That's really hard. I was going to say, when SEMA started doing the activations, like with performance driving, these Ford had their big parking lot for drifting and there were trucks jumping and stuff. That was rad, but now you can also see that on Instagram every day, depending on your algorithm. So I think there are fewer and fewer things that an auto show can offer unless, like a digital video will never truly supplement sitting in a car. And if you have kids and you want to introduce them to cars, that's what they're for. But as far as the experience goes, I think it's pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, auto shows, like traditional, like convention center auto shows, are like consumer-focused things that are largely paid for by the local dealer associations. Right. And so all it takes is for a few of the big major local dealer associations to say, we're not seeing a return off of this. We could put this $1 million or $2 million that it costs for the booth into something else. And once you get below a certain threshold of cars of that are willing to participate, it stops being worthwhile. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you the last time I went to like the LA or New York auto show. It's probably been 10 years. So, I mean, I'm not sure what an enthusiast or the press, like there are people that go to the auto, like there are journalists who go. Like I mean,
Galpin still has a really big presence at the LA auto show. But it does seem like there are fewer manufacturers that show up. And then, of course, the national shows have either closed or shrunk.
Yeah. And on the other hand, like SEMA is still like a really hot ticket in Vegas. That's a hard thing. Part of it is because there's a factor of you can't get in if you're not industry. But, I mean, maybe, try to make a SEMA regional shows that are open for the public or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm pro in-person car events, but
I think these aftermarket things do well, like Overland Expo, which is like SEMA but for off-roading. Like that does well because people can drive there, they can park, they can sleep in their rooftop tent, like they can feel like they're a part of the event. And SEMA, the same thing. Like the people that go that are in the industry, I mean, it's kind of a big party that also you can learn about shocks and see new products, but the casual car customer doesn't need to really be exposed to that side of things. Like they're not going to, most of them aren't going to give a shit about the new coilovers from JRZ. Yeah. And so that's why I think they're very different. There's a very different goal between the two of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think what would make me go to a regular auto show. I think there's a lot more, there are more dealers now, I think, too. It's easier to go sit in cars in major metro areas than it used to be, right? You used to have to go to that auto show because there might not be a dealer like near you. Or maybe I'm just making that up. It seems like there are more, but I don't have data on it. I could just be making that up. So please assume I'm making that up. Donnie's cellmate, it's a cold fucking username, wants to thank us for the recommendation of a very good song, which I do recommend. You download a very good song with like 7 A's, and that way when your phone auto plays when you plug it in, it's a 10-minute song or at least 10 minutes of just silence, so it doesn't blow your eardrums out. It's great. But wanted to know any other driving quality of life hacks do we have that most people not know about?
I just learned one I didn't know about is that you can add an air pump lumbar to like any seat. Like they sell aftermarket. It's got
like a
little
cock
frame.
pump.
Yes, exactly. So you can use your old cock pump and put it in the seat.
I have the parts.
Does it still leak? It used to leak.
It goes because I connected it to the Fantic.
Yeah, I saw that posted. I went, oh man, that changes everything.
Yeah, you could get that and connect it to the Fantic though.
You could,
and then it would go
right,
and pump up your cock.
I thought I meant the seat. Yeah, both.
No, your cock. Yeah. And also,
this is a new way to integrate Fantic. I mean, we've done a lot of videos for them, but this is
a Bert Kreischer Fantic ad.
This is very much.
Guys, I have an idea.
The latest episode with him and Tom was pretty wild and unhinged.
Is it the gay bar one?
Yeah, where Bert it just seems like Bert's edging the whole time.
Yikes! Do I have another quality of life hack? I mean. Yeah, I mean, if when you're driving at night, if you can get down with like turning off as many lights in the car as you can, do you need that screen up right now, like that kind of thing? It'll be really a treat. I do recommend that. I always recommend putting a license plate, sponge behind the license plate for your bass.
Oh yeah,
keeps you from rattling with the bass. That's a good one.
I bought Sarah an $8 silicone license plate frame to stop the bass vibration.
That works too, yeah. That works on a diesel vehicle when we have it on the Delica. Yeah, a clatter. What other quality of life?
I mean, it's expensive, but ceramic tint. If you're going to own the car a long time, dude, just anytime I drive a car without it now, I swear I can feel the UV coming through versus my car, Sarah's car.
Mm-hmm. Choonhound says, you guys have driven a lot of modified cars, and I've heard you describe wide-body cars that rely on spacers or big offsets to fill out extended arches as driving, quote, weird. Can you clarify? Yes, I can. So, like, when you make a car wider, if all you do is widen the wheel but keep the suspension geometry, it changes like all of these pivot points that you need that the car was designed for in order to drive normally.
Yes.
Right? So in theory, the wide body and the wider tire like gives you more grip, but you're actually not taking advantage of it because the geometries are wrong, and it's actually making the car drive worse because it's more likely to have the road drive it than the other way around. Like imperfections in the road will make the car drive like fucking shit. Whereas if you lengthen the control arms and use less offset instead of the original short control arms with a wide ass wheel, now you're using the geometries the way they were designed from the factory. You're just starting from further out. Mm-hmm. And then the car will drive properly. That's why.
Yeah. The book I read, Tuning to Win, which I could barely comprehend, is all about the geometry of suspension, roll center, center of gravity, all these things. And all of these things to support you have to work in concert. Yeah. And there's so much math involved of where is the center. Like they calculate where is the center of this tire, how does that affect the length of our control arm and everything else. So if you use a spacer or offset wheel, you have moved the center of that tire further away from where that suspension arm is. And then all the math that they did, that all of these wonderful engineers did at the factory, is gone. Yeah. It's just thrown away. Yeah. So there's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah. You can't just put wider wheels on the regular suspension.
You can to a degree, but you have to be careful. And you need to talk to someone either at the wheel company who knows your car very well or the suspension or whatever. And there's a certain amount of leeway you can get away with. And then there's a point like RWB style where it will drive. If they don't get longer suspension arms, it will feel strange.
Yeah. I don't recommend that. Mm-mm. I have no problem with wide body kits, but if you have to put the wheels where they need to go and then make the body for that. You don't just get the body and then like, oh, I need 4 more inches of wheel. Right. You know?
Yeah.
4K Libya says, Zach, did you say your brother wrecked the Cobra? Did he? That was like years ago.
2016.
Oh, yeah. That was like 30 years ago. I don't know the answer to that one. Go down to Alex Hay. With escalating new car prices, will the depreciation of EVs do what no amount of government incentives do? And by that, I mean get them into the hands of the masses. Well, I think the escalating new car prices might slow the depreciation of used ones. I mean, That's already happened with Taycans. I was on time for buying a used Taycan. They have not like gone up, but they're not as cheap as they were in December, for sure.
Yeah, I had a quote from Morgan Stanley's auto analyst. Basically says that it's going to push people into the used market, and that the average cost per month of a car is going to go up from $750 a month to $830 to $840. That's average price.
Dude, that's so much.
That is a huge amount of money every month, because the average car price is like $48,000.
Yeah.
But,
and insurance.
Yeah.
Yikes. This one's Baklava Balls. Says, you have $1 million each to buy multiple Porsche 911s.
Ooh.
With one for winter, one for summer, one for track, and at least one air-cooled. Living somewhere with seasons. What are you buying? That's fun. I'm buying a Dakar for winter. I'm buying a GTS Targa for summer daily. I'm buying a GT3 RS 4.0 for Zitrak. I'm buying for air-cooled. I'm going to go with a 89 930 turbo with a G50, and I'm going to go with a 964 Carrera RS also, and I'll call the game there. Call the game there. That's probably over $1 million.
I mean, the Dakar is the perfect choice, of course. I think. Oh man, but a 2.7 RS is so expensive. What are those, like $750,000?
At least, yeah.
Ugh. Okay, never mind. Forget that.
By the way, I just went back and did the math on mine, and I blew through this budget.
Did you?
I was probably almost $2 million.
I wonder what an old 911 ST would cost. Do you know what those cost now?
They would be very expensive. There's not a lot of them. Yeah, that's a very rare car. It's rarer than an RS.
It's unfortunate that all the great things are really, really expensive. I think for summer I'd get a turbo.
Yeah.
But I would get a 991 turbo. I would get God, that's so much money already. I'm gonna get a 911 ST at sticker through Magic. Mm-hmm. So I'll get that at sticker, and that's what we're at 700, 600 maybe.
Yeah.
And then I get the Dakar, so now we're at 850, and then a pretty ratty and then a Keen Safari car.
Oh yeah,
get a Keen Safari. That would be great.
Yeah, all right, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody. What a delightful 90 minutes of radio that was, except for the part about the tariffs. That was really depressing. Fucking guy shouldn't have brought that up.
Q212, where last week Matt's like, we want to talk about tariffs, but not right now.
Yeah, no, that's true. I have one page left, my notebook.
In your granite
in
paper?
my red stone paper.
Wait, that's
notebook.
more than one page?
Huh?
What?
Well, I should say I have one leaf.
Oh.
I have one leaf that this is the back. So it's 3 writing pages or one leaf. That's the end. Very excited to move on to a new notebook.
This is like when I told you about the tariffs.
Yeah. You're like, he talks about notebooks and I want to kill myself. Yeah. Shout out to Vinny Russo, who got married last weekend in Palm Springs. He got married and all I got was this cookie with his Cadillac on it.
They got married.
It looks good though.
By themselves.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And he was wearing a backwards baseball hat.
I asked him what hat did you get. He goes, I got a new one. No labels, just for the wedding. Perfect. He got a formal backwards hat.
Hat. Oh, that rules. All right, well we have a lot more. We have so many more questions. Our next show is just going to be half questions, actually. It literally will be half questions. We'll see you then. Bye.